What's your name and what you do?
I've been traveling overseas and I'm here at the moment to take part in the protest. Yeah.
Why are you taking part in this protest?
I think it's important as a citizen of this country and for the future betterment of this country. People need to partake in this youth revolutionary movement so that the new can begin and the new can rise in this country.
Given what the outcome of this election has been, this parliamentary election, do you think there has been any big
It has been. I think people might have to look at it in a very different and opposing views. But what the protest has been able to achieve is to kick a regime who has been holding on to this country with their entire family for quite a long time. So that is a big win. I think personally what I feel the biggest win this protest has really achieved is about changing people's thought process. This has really started to be instilled in everyone who has been now starting to think differently. This country has been divided by the political parties and the politicians who have sat on the parliament by ethnical division. So the first time in the Sri Lankan history that I'm aware that we all have come together as Sri Lankans fighting for the rights of the Sri Lankan people. So I think that is a revolution itself.
But many people would argue that if you're trying to get a new system, you've actually got a president who's not elected by the people. He's elected constitutionally by the parliament, and he has the support of a regime that the people wanted to oust and has succeeded in ousting. So in that sense, people will say this protest has failed.
I guess if the way that you look at it, there are people who has a view, I have to admit that. But in terms of our parliamentarian system, that means fundamental change. If you speak to some of the people on the ground, they might say we don't have good leaders. We have to stick with Ranil because Ranil is the leader that we know of and there is no one else who can step up to his level. But then other people might say we don't have enough leaders in the community. It's not the problem of not having enough leaders. It's about not having the right path for the leaders to go to the parliament system. So currently, if someone has to get into the parliamentarian as an MP or however that they need to hold the power, they need to come from a well-pierced background. They need to be supported by businesses. They need to be funded heavily to be able to get their place there. So that's why there is a lot of able young leaders who can't get there because they don't have the funding as a lot of the corrupted or the established MPs and the leaders that we have in the parliament. So personally, I wouldn't think that this is a failure. I think this is the beginning of it all. This is a change and it's not going to be resolved overnight. There's a fundamental issues that we have in the country and around the world. And I think this is going to take the stepping stone on changing how we live and what we think and how we are going to proceed.
What do you think should be the first priority for the new president to get Sri Lanka forward?
What would be the first priority?
What do you think should be his first priority?
I think what he needs to do is just not to do anything what he has done a couple of days ago. What he did wrong was not to do his job and get his handles on things that were really smoothly running away. As you would know, the protesters and the protest has been very clear that they were going to vacate the secretariat and everything else would have gone very smooth. But he put his hands into something that was unnecessary. So I think my point of view is he needs to step away from his unnecessary business and actually getting the ground running. Because there are people waiting in the queues. There are people waiting for things to happen. Prices have really skyrocketed. If you're a president who is responsible, then you need to take the step to resolve those issues. Those are the real issues and that's how you can win people's heart, not by beating people here.
So what would be the top priority that he has to now do after this?